Ivan Katz here at Dexter Lake Church Disc Golf Park in Battle Creek, Michigan. I'm going to play around. I'm going to tell you what I'm throwing and explain why I'm throwing it. I'll give you lots of tips and tutorials on the way. Let's get started. Hole number one, a dog leg right, 252 feet. There's the tee, and it's very, very blind actually. Tough hole to start. Okay, there you go. Hole number one, wrapping it up. This is a Halo Opto, a used disc I just got, and I was able to throw it with some hyzer to get it to go ahead and curve around right and set me up for the putt with my very trusty 86 putter. Don't putt with an 86 putter. They're rare, hard to get. Do putt with something like a polecat. You can find these and you can buy 3 or 4 of them. Practice, 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 practice. Get 4 or 5 putters if you can. Just keep throwing them and throwing them and throwing them and practice, practice, practice. A word about my disc golf videos, I do throw multiple discs. That was my first throw and that was my first putt, so that's a real birdie. But I throw multiple discs. I don't get birdies every time. I get bogeys like everybody else, double bogeys. Disc golf is a hard sport. If you're shooting 12 over par, 20 over par, try to shoot 11 or 19 over par the next time. No big deal. This is hyzer for the forehand flick, right hand. This is hyzer for the right hand backhand. Anhyzer, hyzer, flat, okay? Hyzer, anhyzer. You can vary the angle of these discs, put a lot of hyzer on a flick, and it should probably fade right. A lot of hyzer on a right hand backhand should fade left. So there you go. Anhyzer, if you're a right hand backhand thrower for this one, try to put anhyzer on a disc that's perhaps understable, and it'll keep that angle and curve you around towards the basket. There you go. Make sure you write your name and number on these discs, and definitely bring a towel if it's going to be wet out as well. On to the next one. Number 2, straight ahead. Not sure of the distance, but trees on the right, parking lot on the left. You want to try to keep it straight. Okay, number 2, we had the Crank SS, and this is my go-to disc. I love this thing. Understable, meaning it will turn over. Hyzer, flip. That's what hyzer flip means. A disc that you throw with a hyzer that flips up and goes straight before it fades off a little bit. Now, as I said earlier, polecat putter, very reliable. I love this putter, and the numbers are 1, 3, 0, 0. What does that mean? 1 means the speed that you need to throw it to get it to do what it's supposed to do. Not very much power needed to throw this disc, a 1. So there you go. 3 is the glide. That's how much the wind will take it. Usually you have 4, 5s, and 6s if a disc will be affected by the wind. This one's not very affected by it. So 1, 3, and then this is what you want for a putter, 0, 0. That means 0 turn. In other words, throw it flat, it'll stay flat. Throw it with hyzer, it'll stay with the hyzer. Very little turnover. If you throw this super hard, it will turn over a bit, but that's about it. 0 at the end, 1, 3, 0, 0. Speed, glide, turn, and the last number, fade. For right hand backhand, a disc will fade this way. For a flick, it'll fade that way. Very little fade on this disc, so it should just end up its flight and kind of fall. Now, back to this third number here, the turn. This is going to have a negative number because it's flippy. -2 or -3, it's going to turn up on you. And that's what you want if you're a beginner. It'll get you extra distance. When you throw on a hyzer with this disc, it should turn over. Now again, this is a speed 13 disc. That's too much disc for most beginners and even some intermediates. You want to be throwing something like a 4, 5, 6, which is a mid-range, and get used to throwing those. And once you get used to those, the 7s, 8s, and 9s, these are speed, the first number. Those discs are control drivers, fairway drivers, the leopard, things like that. A great disc for beginners. It's flippy as well. So that's what you want to be throwing here. And then you get into your 11s, 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s. Like the West Side King that I love. That's an understable, very fast disc, so you can get a lot of maximum distance out of that, but not until you're ready. Until you're getting a mid-range to flip up and go straight, or dog leg right for you, or dog leg left with a flick, until you can totally control a mid-range. Play the whole course with it. Once you master that, a shark maybe, or a rock, once you master those discs, then you can move on to the faster discs. Start with a mid-range. On to the next one. Well, I'm assuming that this is 3, and I don't know the distances because it doesn't say, but straight ahead there, just in the field, number 3. Okay, Old Faithful Crank SS, and the putt with my Dauntless SKB Lightning hook shot. Kind of threw it up, let it fade. That's what it did. Faded right into the basket. It's got ridges, which I really like for my forehand grip. Ridges on the inside. There's just something about this Dauntless SKB Lightning. I got one when I started playing disc golf, probably before a lot of you were born. But anyway, love that disc. And the Crank SS. Notice I threw it with a lot of hyzer, a lot of power, it just turned over. Careful not to throw it nose up. You don't want to throw it nose up. Height is not distance. You get it nose up and then it just fades off. But because I pointed it at a nice straight angle, it stayed low and in control and ended up with a nice, beautiful drive, getting me close enough for the birdie putt there with the Dauntless SKB. On to the next one. Wow, hole 4, 477 feet, but straight ahead. I'll call this a par 4. For the pros, it's a par 3, but I'd say my max distance these days is about 260, 265, so this one's gonna be tough. Let's see what I can do here. Yes, the headwind makes it very tough to get the distance, but a nice S-curve shot on the King. More about that later, but there's the tee. Here I am now. There's the basket. Long way to go still. Okay, wrapping up number 4. That was a doozy, wasn't it? Started off with the drives. The King, now this is so understable for me. It's a speed 14. I just got another used King, and I can barely get it to turn over at all. This one, thrown with super hyzer and super power, turns way over, and then S-curves out and fades. A beautiful disc for distance, but again, the weight of the disc matters. The lighter the disc, the more flippy it's going to be. This is a pretty light King. I love this thing, but I've had it for many, many years, so it's very flippy, very understable. Okay? Now, this is a disc I just got. It's called the RT Albatross by Franklin Disc Golf. I don't think it's such a great disc, but it's very flippy. So what I do is, just like with this King, I could do the same thing with a King if I give it less hyzer. But this one, I gave it a little bit of hyzer, let it turn over and roll. And that's how you do a flick turn roller. You can also do it right hand, backhand like this, and just let it turn over and roll. It's pretty hard to get the angle right. You have to go out and practice rollers in a field. I have a separate video on rollers. Just search YouTube Ivan Katz roller and you'll see my video explaining that whole technique. But there you go, a flick turn roller. And then we had the approach with the Halo Air, another one of the staples of my bag. I love this disc, and just like I got that other Halo, this one is more understable for me. Just a really nice long distance driver with some hyzer, turns over and goes straight with very little fade. Keep the nose down, the Halo Air, great disc. And then the two putts with my Ace Race Sol, a great approach. It's an understable approach. I can just flick it towards the target and let it go, or because my right hand backhand's not very strong, I can just throw it up at the target and usually get it to go right at the basket and fade a little bit, and hopefully make contact with the chains like it did there. And then again, my trusty polecat, I love this thing, and it's a great putter, I love it. On to the next one. Number 5, a slight dog leg right, 278 feet, that's pretty far. All right, there you go. The Avenger. Throw it a little too high, but it turned over and then faded, got me some distance, maybe a little bit more distance if I was more nose down, but still good enough for the wonderful putt with the polecat. Again, just throwing it up in the air. My right hand backhand's not very strong, so I kind of aim for, knowing it's going to fade, I aim for somewhere, you know, about yay high over the basket and hope it fades in, and sometimes everything goes right and it does. There you go. A great birdie there on that one. On to the next one. Wow, this one's kind of pretty. Hole 6, 293 feet straight down. Well, pretty cool shot with the Discraft Heat. I was thinking ace for just a second, and it just smacked that tree. Could have been closer, but oh well. Trusty 86 putter. And again, this 86, in situations like that, it's a bit understable, so I know if I sell it straight and flat with a little anhyzer, it's going to stay straight. And that's what it did. So I love the 86 putter. It's also a good sinker. Throw it high and let it sink down into the basket if there's an object in front of the basket. For the most part, find a putter that's more accessible than the Whammo Frisbee 86 from the late 80s or mid 80s. Anyway, love the Discraft Heat too. Seems to have a second wind. If you throw it nose down, it just keeps on going, and it's a great disc for beginners to get some distance. Intermediates too, and hey, pros too. All right, on to the next one. It's very tough when you've never played a course before to figure out where some of the holes are, but it's right in the middle of that cluster of trees, I believe. And wow, 309 feet away. Oh well, no dice on that one, but I do like this Latitude 64 Connor O'Reilly Delaware Champion National Tour 2021. Anybody know what this disc is? I'm not sure, but anyway, it's a putter. It was used, and my trusty Craig SS to get me down close for the birdie attempt. It was a tough shot through all these trees. I mean, you got to get real lucky, or you got to be really good, but have to settle for the par that time, but that's okay. Tough hole. On to the next one. Well, I'm not sure how long, but number 8, pretty slim fairway, dog leg left, and pretty far too. Another tough shot. Well, the Dynamic Discs Lucid Witness 96-3-1, and that means it's a control driver with a lot of glide and understable, should flip up, which it did, with very little fade, and that is exactly what it did. That's what I mean by having the power to make these discs do what they do. If this disc doesn't turn over for you and go straight with little fade, go down in the number. A 9 is too much for you. If you're throwing right hand backhand, if it doesn't flip up, go straight with a little fade, throw something with a lower number. Long way to go here still to the basket. Alright, there you go, the Lucid Witness, thrown with some hyzer, turns over with just a little fade. And then had the very cool birdie attempt approach, that was almost 200 feet. And this Ace Race Sol is such a good disc. It hits baskets all the time, and sometimes it goes in from crazy distances. Because I just give it a flick, and it turns over and goes straight at the basket. Haven't had any disc like this since my Cobra that unfortunately got lost somewhere in South Carolina. You can check out that video elsewhere. Check out all my disc golf videos. I travel and play disc golf, so everywhere in the United States, West Coast, East Coast. I just played La Mirada, the second course ever. I played Golden Gate Park in San Francisco and a course in San Diego as well. So I travel, I play disc golf, and I share these great courses and some tips with you. So really cool shot with the Ace Race Sol, like I said, but off the basket, and then the putt with my Latitude 64 O'Reilly. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that round at Dexter Lake Church Disc Golf Park in Battle Creek, Michigan. Smash that like button for me. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And please do subscribe to me here on Drive-In Ivan Katz and also Ivan Katz Productions for all of my disc golf content. If you like cars, just search for Drive-In Ivan in any car here on YouTube. And of course, check out my music videos and other disc golf videos as well. Share them with your friends. And again, thank you. I'm Ivan Katz.